Let's take a look at the parts of your engine. So your engine has 4 cylinders, right? 2 of them can be viewed from the right side of the plane. So here's 2 of your cylinders. Those cylinders have pistons which rotate the crankshaft, which turn your propeller. Each piston has its own set of 2 spark plugs. There's one down here at the bottom, and there's one up here on the top. On this cylinder, there's the one on top and the one on the bottom. Each cylinder also has its own fuel and air intake and fuel and air exhaust. Fuel and air intake, fuel and air exhaust. That fuel and air gets drawn from your engine's carburetor, which is right down there. This is the carburetor. These cables are for your throttle and mixture settings right there, which you adjust from inside the plane. The air gets drawn from the fuel system, which is on the other side. We'll talk about that later. The fuel gets drawn from the fuel system. The air gets drawn from this air intake right here at the front of the plane. Okay, this is your oil line. You have a wet sump oil system. Here's one of your oil lines. It gets drawn from right in here, this big casing right here. Your other oil line is right there. 3 of your cylinders get primed. Here's one of the primers right here. So just to review with this part. Cylinder, spark plug, spark plug. They ignite the fuel and the air mixture. Spark plug, oil, intake, exhaust. Now these spark plugs get their spark from the magnetos. You have 2 of them. This is the right-hand magneto right here. Spinning magnets create electrical current sent to the spark plugs that ignite the fuel and the air mixture. This is your oil dipstick where you check the oil, you unscrew it, pull it out, 6 to 8 quarts. Other things we're gonna see in here, this white thing, this is your oil filter. Your planes obviously has to have that. That's your oil filter. Typically, the vacuum pump, as you may notice, is right here. But this plane has a digital display that shows your attitude indicator, your heading indicator, so we don't need that vacuum pump anymore. But your vacuum pump is right here in between your oil filter and your magneto. So that's the right side. This is all just the basics, obviously. We could talk much more about this for hours. I'm just showing you what you're looking for. Your alternator charges the battery. The alternator belt is right there. And then this is the actual alternator. That silver guy right there. On the other side, if you look, it's the same idea. Cylinder, spark plug. Now both of these cylinders get primed. It's 1 on the other side, 2 here, 3 total. There's a primer line there, and the primer line is hidden right there. Okay, we have fuel and air intake, fuel and air exhaust, fuel and air intake, fuel and air exhaust. Oil line. The other oil line is hidden, but it is right behind the primer line. You can barely make it out, that silver line. New things we see on this side, this is your oil filter. This is the oil filter. I'm sorry, this is the oil cooler. That's the oil filter, I don't know what I'm saying. This is the oil cooler. This is your left-hand magneto. Okay, we have the brake fluid reservoir where your extra brake fluid is stored, as well as your electrical fuel pump. When you start the airplane, you turn on the thing that says fuel pump. This starts drawing gas from your fuel tanks to the engine to help get it started, because we're not gravity fed. Like a Cessna with the wings on top, they use gravity to feed the fuel to the tanks. We need the electrical fuel pump to get the engine going. Once the engine starts, you can turn it off, because this guy, the engine-driven fuel pump, found right there, that silver guy, draws the fuel in, and that's powered by the engine. So, those are your basics of the engine. Your carburetor heat, just a quick note. Air gets passed from the heat of the exhaust through that tube right there and into your carburetor to heat it up. So, that's the basics of what you see inside your engine.